What does it look like when zero tolerance policies are applied at school with the new Zoom context that we've all had to get used to? Well, joining us once again on the show is the politics columnist for Insider, Anthony Fisher. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. Excited to talk about a couple of your recent articles, including one that has to do with what I was talking about in the intro, that zero tolerance policies are still being maintained in a world that is very different in a lot of ways. So what have you found in your research?
Well, I found that zero tolerance is being applied even with people not being in school. And that goes for 9-year-olds, that goes for teachers, and it goes for grad students who are adults, who are doing things on their own time that have nothing to do with schools, the way they behave in schools, anything to do with their classmates. We're still treating policies punitively with no adjustments for no adjustments and no mercy really for the people involved. So some of the examples I used or I cited were a 9-year-old boy who picked up a BB gun while he was taking a test on a Zoom camera. Now that was a violation of the school's zero tolerance rules against weapons, even though he's in his own bedroom. And he was just moving something from the floor to a shelf.
Well, did anyone get shot?
No.
Is everyone okay?
He didn't point it at anyone. He did nothing menacing. He did nothing threatening, and he was almost expelled. The suspension was what they brought it down to. And there are plenty of cases like that have happened during this Zoom COVID era. Another case was a veteran teacher nearing retirement, teaching a class from her kitchen. And she snuck a couple of puffs of a cigarette and the students let the administration know about it. She was given a suspension without pay, and then rather than deal with that indignity, she just decided to take all her remaining sick time and retire early. So in an era where we are very, very short of teachers, we've got one less because she smoked a cigarette in her kitchen. I'm not saying it was a great example.
That's against the rules?
Yes, there's tolerance for tobacco use.
Okay, so secondhand smoke is serious. I get that. What hand is a video of someone smoking in a different place? And I try not to get too down on kids. Why did we don't have an answer for this. Why did the kids report it? That seems crazy to me that it was even something that was brought up.
The kids these days are really into rules and pleased to authority. But that's another conversation, which we should have. And so another, in my opinion, perhaps the most outrageous example was a 27-year-old black woman, a pharmacy student, grad student at the University of Tennessee, who dressed up as Cardi B for an Instagram picture. Now, so she was dressed, risque, but she's a grown woman on her own time, on her personal social media. And she was kicked out of her grad student program. I repeat, she was expelled from her grad student program because she dressed up like a very popular rapper. There wasn't any nudity, there wasn't any explicit language. It was just a risque outfit on her own time. And the school never allowed her the possibility of even being aware of what policy she violated. She was just told that this was not in the spirit of her profession.
Yeah, and so look, I think that sort of thing, we've seen instances of that before COVID. It seems what someone does in their personal social media that doesn't have anything to do with their work seems crazy to take that so seriously. I would assume that in this particular context, when everyone is having such a hard time, that there would be some accommodation, a little bit more reason being injected into the process, but apparently that is not happening. Now my worry is that in the same way that zero tolerance is bad, the way it's used is bad, but it isn't also even like doled out in an equal fashion, that when you allow teachers or administrators so much discretion to effectively nuke someone's career or someone's education, that bias and bigotry could play into that as well. Did we see any evidence of that in your work?
I haven't seen any evidence that it was based on anyone's particular identity. Like I said, though, zero tolerance, the zero tolerance makes it so that you could hide bigotry behind it because you take away the discretion of the administrators. It's the same thing in the criminal justice system. Zero tolerance rules, 3 strikes rules, mandatory minimums take away discretion. All they are mandates that you must punish somebody because of this. It takes away all real world nuance. And it's bad. It's bad when it's happening in the criminal justice system, and it's bad in the educational system. And I don't know who benefits from any of this. Who benefits from a 9-year-old boy being suspended for violating a policy he probably didn't know existed in his own bedroom? Who benefits from the loss of a teacher for sneaking a cigarette in her kitchen, and who benefits from one less, qualified pharmacy worker? This is all. This is. I think the thing that's really indicative is that when bad things happen, the public often demands zero tolerance policies. And these zero tolerance policies are implemented with the best of intentions. But zero tolerance policies are unthinking and they are brutal, and they need to be avoided pretty much whenever possible because of situations like this. Because when you think you're fixing one problem, you are opening the door to creating other problems and other victims, and branding people as violators of these policies who haven't hurt anyone, didn't mean to hurt anyone, and often didn't even know they were breaking a rule.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.